you need something new to listen, out of all the other shit, Bass Tapes has what you need, and it goes like this. Every other Friday morning, you get a little treat, something not too long and feels more complete. Bass Tapes, Bass Tapes, Bass Tapes. Please listen to our Bass Tapes.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bass Tapes episode 3. We have a very special guest, a very good friend of mine, the man himself, the voice of reason, the Ramble King, creator of the Sae Bae podcast, Saeder himself. Sae Bae, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. What up, SaintTits? How we doing?
Dude, it's just been busy trying to, start something new and get it off the ground running, and obviously doing other things in the background for other people and keeping the Based After Dark podcast afloat as well. But, okay, how many episodes of the Sae Bae cast have you done now?
226.
226. How long have you been doing these for now on a yearly basis?
So, started back in December of 2020. Which means it's just been over 4 years, 4 years and a few months. 4 years, a few months. And usually I'll do about 50 episodes a year, which is about once a week. So we've already kind of surpassed like half the episodes for this year, but that's just because January and February, I was just pumping them out. So that was a little bit different.
You really were. And you had a very monumental guest come on, someone that the RuneScape community has been very familiar with, was Chig Okonkwo, a professional athlete. And I wanted to ask you, how did that happen? Who got in contact with who? Did Chig know you beforehand before coming on? Were you nervous at all having someone who was quote unquote famous coming on the cast, like outside of the RuneScape community? I really want to know like the thought process behind getting Chig Okonkwo on the Sae Bae cast.
Yeah, so I actually got a DM randomly. So just to preface this, like I had seen just that day, like a Reddit post and a Twitter post that was on my For You page of like Chig Okonkwo, maxed his old school account. This is huge and whatnot. And I was like, okay, like that's really cool. There's an NFL, but I don't follow the NFL, but that's awesome. And then all of a sudden I get a DM on Discord by that guy named Derek. And he just reaches out to me. It's a message that's held. Most of my messages are held unless we're friends. And I just read over it. And this guy's like, hey, and my initial reaction was, oh, this guy probably wants to come on the cast, this guy, because basically starting in January, I had made like a tweet saying, hey, I'm willing to kind of put on any creator right now or any, voice of anybody that's passionate with RuneScape, just reach out to me and we can maybe schedule a Sae Bae cast potentially. And so my DMs had just been flooded by people. But anyway, I start reading the message and he's like, hey, like I'm actually friends with Chig Okonkwo. He's the guy that just maxed. I don't know if you saw. And he actually listens to your rambles and your casts. And I was kind of just teasing him, but he's actually down to come on your podcast if you're up for it. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's amazing. So we start talking, me and Derek, and I'm like, I don't really follow the NFL, so this might be a little bit like rough around the edges. And he's like, honestly, he gave me some relief by saying, you know what, like so many people already know all about his, NFL career. Like you can just look up his stats or whatever else, look up his highlights, but you actually have a RuneScape podcast. So I think people will actually appreciate you not going into the NFL details and just sticking with RuneScape. I think that'd be cool. So I was like, you know what? You got a point. So anyway, he drags me into a 3-way DM on Discord with Chig, and Chig was just right there on beat, just chatting it up with us. Super down to earth. I was kind of I don't know what I was expecting, honestly, but I wasn't expecting such friendliness, and it was just amazing. And anyway, so we got in touch, and I was like expecting maybe, I'd have to like schedule it out a couple weeks to make him ready. But he's like, dude, I'm ready like whenever, like we do it tomorrow. So we planned it for like a few days in advance. I was getting really nervous because this was like the first true like superstar that I'm getting on. Like I had Foe on. I think Foe was like the first guest that genuinely made me nervous getting on. And then obviously like Solo Mission, Bodie, Mod Ash was extremely like nerve wracking for me, even though I can pretty much contain it at this point. But this one was something different. I'm like, okay, I have to be normal. Like just be fucking normal. And yeah,
it's funny you say that because you said you were nervous having Foe on, having Settled on, having Bodie on. Do you think you were more nervous with Chig because it was outside of your comfort zone? Hey, this is an athlete. This is an NFL star. This is someone who's in a different type of league completely versus just like an old school RuneScape content creator or old school RuneScape Twitch streamer. Were you second guessing yourself at all through the podcast? Was there any type of imposter syndrome or any feelings of surrealism while you were sitting there talking with them? Or was Chig just so radiant and warm that it made you kind of forget that?
He definitely made me forget it. To answer the first part, I had more nerves because he is not just old school based, so this podcast could potentially hit other audiences. It could hit somebody that's interested in Chig himself or interested in the NFL, or just something, and just like, oh, I watch the NFL and I, have this guy on my fantasy team. Let me go check out this random podcast. And knowing that this is going to be a more expansive audience just puts more pressure on me because I want it to land well. I want to have a good interview. I want to be like, and again, like I hadn't talked to this guy over voice at all. So I don't know how he sounds yet. Like, I don't know if his mic's going to have trouble. It did have a little bit of trouble. And we actually had a few moments during the cast where I'm like, hey, can you like pull up your mic a little bit closer? But like the nerves were really about thinking of a larger audience potentially listening to this and not like crashing and burning, just sounding boring. Because that's the thing with podcasting. You have to, what I've recognized is, and it's even more difficult with a RuneScape podcast where I'm getting players on that have never done a podcast in their life. They're not intellectuals. They're not, most of them are not intellectuals. Most of them have not written a book. No, none of them are, it's pretty, I would imagine doing a podcast with a genuine celebrity or a person that's written a book and is now blowing up, like when I'm listening to podcasts that aren't RuneScape related, I'm listening to people that have a following. Like these are big names,
Okay.
And they're getting guests on where you recognize the name of the guest. And so you already know they're interesting, but I'm pulling on a person a lot of the time on my cast. We're like, who's this person? Like, and so there's an element of like, you have to keep this entertaining. You have to keep this listenable. And as a host, talking with somebody that I do not know whatsoever is kind of a tightrope walk. Like I need to like somehow manage. And again, we're not even in person. So it's me talking with a complete stranger, trying to get a conversation rolling and feeling natural. And it's a genuine like challenge sometimes, but with Chig, it was great. He's a confident person. Obviously he's a fucking NFL star. So it didn't take much to like get him out of his shell. He's just a great person. And on top of that, he's one of us. So it went so smoothly because he loves RuneScape and he's maxed and Iron Man, which was great. So we could relate. And he's already listened to a lot of my content. So yeah, it went swimmingly.
Yeah. I remember seeing when he posted that tweet of him maxing and it going viral. And the community being like, what the fuck? There's a guy out there like this who's like a degenerate, like one of us, a maxed Iron Man. That's no easy feat. That's actually very impressive. And then you had half of the community being astounded by this person. And then you had the other half being like, all right, this guy didn't get anything. He has money. He probably paid people to do this, or yada, yada. He's probably not legit. And then I don't know how long after it was that tweet, but he gets on the Sae Bae cast. And when I saw it, I immediately clicked it and listened to half of it. And within the first 30 minutes, if you know anything about RuneScape, you realize that this guy was not a fraud, that no one did anything for him. He knew exactly what he was talking about. And it felt, and realizing that, like going through and listening to your podcast was like such a monumental like revelation Because it must have felt good, right? Like when he came on and he was talking about RuneScape and he knew what he was talking about, and also him being a fan of your content. I can relate to that because one of the most recent Top Tuesdays we had MMORPG on. We had Curtis, and Curtis is a big name in the old school community. He's been around for a long time. He's had his hands in many things. And when Seth sent me the POV, he's like, "You're going to be surprised when you edit this." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Just edit it and you'll see." And I start editing, and within the first 2 minutes of the interview, Curtis is glazing Top Tuesday.
Oh, damn.
And I'm seeing this in real time as like the editor. And I'm a person who I would say I overanalyze, I hyperanalyze, I second guess, I have a scatterbrain, and sometimes my insecurity can get the best of me. And when watching Curtis glaze Top Tuesday and calling it cinema, calling it content, calling it peak, it was a very reassuring moment to myself, being like, okay, we're doing something right here. This is going very well. And to bring that back to the Chig Okonkwo podcast, when that started blowing up, what were you thinking watching it?
There was excitement. I mean, I always get excited when I'm about to release a podcast, and this one was even more special because one of my 2025 changes with the cast was not going to X to make a topic thread. So this episode was completely unannounced. It just dropped, and nobody knew I was about to do it. And everybody had heard of Chig Okonkwo. It was like the stars aligned, basically. Like within the week, he was all of a sudden exploding on Reddit, thousands and thousands of upvotes on his post. And then and the night before we recorded, I look and he tells me, he's like, ESPN's Instagram with 25 million followers just posted that Chig maxed his RuneScape account. And so, I mean, everybody is just like, wow, this guy's amazing. And then to be able to drop a podcast, and he hasn't been on any other one. There's been he hasn't been on any AMA or anything like that. It was just me getting an hour and a half with this man and just getting to sit down and talk, and then drop it like hours later. And one of the best parts about being a YouTuber, especially, is dropping something and then just looking at the comments when you released a banger. Mm-hmm. And so the comments flooding in of like, oh shit, like who, like, this is insane. People are just like, I cannot believe you got Chig on. Like, what the fuck is happening? And it was just like a real treat to just sit there and just get that repeated dopamine from all the comments flooding in.
One thing I want to say is, as a person who's been watching online content since a teenager, even before then, really, when someone gives me a piece of content that I didn't know I needed and that I had no idea about, those are always my favorite videos, podcasts to watch. And I think you positioned yourself perfectly, and like not even intending to. Like the world is so funny, the internet is so funny sometimes, that things just fall into your lap. And God, if that isn't a golden apple that fell in your lap, Mr. Saeder, is very shocking, really. It's so funny how things happen so quickly. It was so fast. It was a flash fire. Did you? So you saw the Instagram post the day before you posted the podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Did you know it was going to be as successful as it was?
So I'm always a bit not worried, but I'm always a bit skeptical of like how views are going to go with these podcasts, because I understand that podcasting is not everybody's favorite type of media. And so even if there was something with Chig, many people are probably going to have, 10 minutes to just go and listen and see if they're interested and then leave. And unless, my diehard fans are listening, then, they're probably going to watch the whole thing. But releasing something that's over an hour and a half, it's just, you're not going to get that much watch time with it. And so I was a bit, just like, I bet this could probably pull 30, 40K viewers probably over the week. It doubled that. I was pretty impressed to see that. And it's just kind of like guessing, sort of like, I hope this lands well. I mean, I had Mod Ash on for his first episode. And that one just popped off. Like, it was crazy. And it wasn't even, I had gotten some criticism from that episode because of me going to Twitter, asking for topics. And then Mod Ash, went out of his way and just basically answered every single topic that was listed on the thread. And we were supposed to just talk about it on the podcast, but he had already answered everybody.
He didn't know no better. He was just being...
Yeah, no, he was doing his thing.
Yeah.
And so, but I didn't know what to do at that point, because I'm like, okay, we have all these topics and I already asked for them. So what do I do? Do I just ignore the whole thread and then people feel left out with the ones he didn't respond to? Do I still cover the ones that he still addressed? It was kind of like up in the air of how I'm going to handle this one. But the episode is still great, but I did get some deep criticism. But that episode ended up pulling crazy numbers. Like, I think it's like top 5 casts now in terms of views on YouTube, at least. And then we did a round 2, and the round 2 a few months after that round 1 with him, it just didn't do as well, because I think people had just been like, okay, we've already heard Mod Ash, even though it's still Mod Ash and it's round 2, it's completely different. It's just, I don't know, people just weren't as interested in that one.
What was the criticism for the first one? What was the approach that you ended up taking for the first episode?
I mean, the approach I took was just, I'm going to try to have a conversation, but I still want to, do what I had kind of promised, in a way of like, okay, I made a tweet saying, hey, if you guys have topics for this episode, leave them down below. And I wanted to do this podcast as like a community service, sort of, in a way where it's like, gotcha, I'm getting a JMod on, and I want people in the community to ask the questions. I don't need to be the one only asking a JMod questions. A lot of people would want to hear, from like what people want to know, what, just like the community wants to get involved in something like this. And I understood that. So yeah, I went the route of asking the community questions. And then there was a whole Reddit post made of it, of just saying like, and if anything's posted on Reddit with the title, with like an angry title or something of like, oh, look at what Sae Bae did, it's like people just jump on the bandwagon. So it's like, regardless of what was posted, it's just gonna be negative.
That's just the internet in a nutshell, unfortunately.
Most people enjoyed it, but Mod Ash even saw the thread. I know he did, because he reached out to me on X and said, hey, like, I just saw, like, people weren't completely over the moon about our episode, so why not run it back? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
That was going to be my next question. Is that the reason why you ran it back, and whose idea was it? So that makes sense.
Yep.
And I think that just goes to show you the empathy that Mod Ash has,
Oh yeah, he's great.
That's lovely to hear. And, Base Tapes, for future reference, we might get a former JMod on. Mr. Matt K responded to our first Twitter post for the Base Tapes episode 0 clip.
Oh, okay. That's going to be a banger.
Yeah, but I don't think he knows it's me. I don't know. Because he added Tasty, like he randomly added Tasty and was like, let's do this. So I don't know if he thinks Tasty runs that account, or because the clip, Tasty wasn't anywhere in the clip. It was me and Asterix. and so I'm like, okay.
He's probably thinking it's based after dark.
Yes.
He probably doesn't even recognize what you're asking.
Yeah. But
you know what? If you wanted to make it so he's not caught off guard by anything, I think he'd still have a great time with you. He gets along with it. He's been on a bunch of different podcasts, and I think it would actually be best, because you haven't had him on Based After Dark yet, have you?
No, we haven't had him on Based After Dark, and that's one thing that, like, I feel like Base Tapes is easier. Is an easier invite to accept,
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not going to have 4 people in there, 3 people in there, 5 people in there, or God forbid, the way we used to do it. God, we'd had 7 people on sometimes. And looking back at that, I'm not mad we did it, because some of my favorite moments from the podcast have been when we had 6, 7 people on, 5 people on, and everyone's going crazy and yelling and laughing and interjecting with stories. But in a more professional sense, I think as time has gone on, Based After Dark has gotten quote unquote more professional, and Base Tapes, an extension of that, is hopefully going to be something that getting more people on as guests is easier to ease into.
Yep.
In the view as for the guest, right, and for the listener, because we've been having complaints ever since the beginning of people talking over each other, and it seems that no matter how many people we have on the podcast, whether it be 3, 4, 5, that problem is always going to be there. And hopefully what Base Tapes does is it's able to reach another audience that normally doesn't listen to Based After Dark, but it's also something that Based After Dark fans can still enjoy, right? Is my thinking behind it. And so far that's working. I think we had 3 comments on the YouTube channel of people being like, I've never heard y'all before. I got recommended this. This was cool. And it feels really good seeing stuff like that, because content creation, and this is another point that I wanted to get into, content creation on the internet is fickle. And it doesn't matter if what you think is doing is right, especially at the end of the day when you kind of need to get paid for it, when you're like viewing this as a career or a job or as a way to earn income. Regardless if you're doing it for the love of the game or not, because I believe people that do invest time into something should get paid for it. And God, it's so disheartening at times. And I'm sure you've been there before, where you feel like the content you're putting out isn't good, or the content that you are putting out is very good, but it's not getting like the traction that you thought it would. And what I have seen you do recently is on your channel, you post everything now on that one Sae Bae channel.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask you, has that improved like your viewership? Has that improved subs? Because the meta for YouTube for so long was you'd make a main channel, and then you'd make a second channel, and then you'd make a third channel. And then, well, if you're a podcast channel, you got to have a clips channel. You never do both. You got to keep the channel separated. And you have decided that I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to upload everything on my main channel, my only channel. And with the volatility of the internet, that scares me.
Yeah, no, it's kind of difficult, because most people that start making second and third and fourth channels have a massive main channel. I mean, something with at least 100,000 subs. Mm-hmm. So me trying to diversify with, 24K subs or however many I have, it's just a bad move at this point. I mean, but I'm not going to restrict myself, because I'm not a solo mission where, okay, I've now discovered the recipe that I'm just going to keep basically recreating. Like I would say, okay, this video popped off, 100,000 views. I can just keep pulling out these videos left and right, just kind of the same sort of formula, and then just grow a massive channel. And then, you trying to diversify from that is genuinely terrifying, because now you have sponsorships. Now people are looking at your past 10 videos. Like, how well did those do?
Yeah.
I'm in no position. I've never had a sponsorship on YouTube. I'm in this nice, kind of beginner place where I can just throw up whatever I want on my channel. And if something explodes, that's great. And if not, there's really no foul at this point. Now, if I get to a point where I've now discovered some formula where it's like, okay, these videos are popping off, and I recognize, like, if I can do a weekly one of this, it's just, my channel is just going to explode. Then I would start really thinking about, okay, maybe I should make a clips channel. Maybe I should make a secondary channel as well. But I'm just not there. And so oftentimes when I've talked to Solo Mission or Settled, they'll bring up, and Just if they want to throw something up, they can't do it on their main channel because it genuinely affects their revenue, like in a large way. And again, I'm just not at that point. And I'm also not I don't want to restrict myself in a way. And if I started a second channel right now, just for the hell of it, like just make an Eclipse channel, it's just not I can almost see it not succeeding too well. Because one, let's just say I made a Sae Bae clips channel. Like, okay, or a Sae Bae cast clips channel. That might do all right. It would take a long time to grow, I believe.
Yeah.
And then again, I mean, if people are already against, in a way, me like flooding their inbox, not even flooding it, but just uploading more frequently clips from the cast on my main channel, like I just don't see the enticement of like making another channel and people feeling so enticed to like follow a clips channel. I don't know. I just, at this point, my audience is just not as large and it's just not a thing I think about. I just upload at this point.
Yeah. And it's so funny you saying that, because I'm sitting over here with the Based After Dark channel. We're about to hit 6.5K. And I'm so fucking worried that like if our thumbnails don't look similar to all the other videos, we're just going to fucking fail.
Yeah.
Because and this is my own, it's my own like confirmation bias, because when I'm in the seat of like producing something, editing something, I know people are going to look at this. I try to view it from my point of view as a viewer. And I'm so goddamn spoiled and fickle as a YouTube viewer. I don't subscribe to channels because I know I'll eventually see them again in my For You page when they upload. I don't like videos unless I need them like saved to go back to for something. And I never comment. I rarely, I've been watching YouTube since I've probably been 12 to 13 years old. And if I've left more than 200 comments on videos, I'd be very surprised. And
nice.
Yeah, I'm not saying that as to brag. I'm just saying that that is how.
Yeah, it's just how you are as a consumer.
Yeah, me as the viewer, and I try to like account for that when I put my hands on something. And sometimes I wonder if that's more detrimental than it is good.
It's just a lot of overthinking. And what makes it difficult is when you feel like you've hit something that's good, and then you don't want to ruin it in a way. Like, okay, like I don't want to ruin this little thing we have, but you have to continually take those risks. I mean, there's always so much more growth to happen. And I mean, I think the biggest detriment to my own channel, this is something I failed to mention just minutes ago, but I started streaming on YouTube as well on my channel. And I think that's the thing. And I've seen the analytics behind it. I mean, I lose subscribers when I go live on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah. Because one, I mean, I'm not gaining any subscribers by going live. Nobody sees my live streams actually, I take that back. It's very few though. Very few people are recommended a live stream on YouTube. It's mainly just people that are already subscribed. They now see you live and they're like, I'm not interested in this. And there's no way to hide it on mobile, especially. There's no way to hide the live stream. So if you're all of a sudden subscribed to somebody for, 3+ years, and now all of a sudden he's flooding your inbox with a daily live stream, it's just like, okay, I loved your content, but see ya. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to have you at the top of my inbox every single time I log in if you're live. So it's not been huge at all. I wouldn't even say, like maybe 0.1% of my audience has left by it, but it just sucks when, you do a live stream and then you check your analytics and you've lost 3 subscribers.
Yeah.
You just tell because people are just like not interested in that. But ultimately, this is kind of what happens. If you are producing stuff that somebody doesn't want to watch, they're just going to unsubscribe, and it's whatever. The live streams, though, have been fun on YouTube. They're not necessary by any means, but it's a little bit of extra trickle revenue. And it's also like potential for people that aren't on Twitch at all to engage with me as a creator, and that, form some relationships and stuff. And I think, and I even took a break from it at one point. I was doing it on Big Dogs, my hardcore group. And then I stopped for a season, and then people on YouTube were like, whoa, we want the live streams back, And then I brought him back, and I'd taken him away simply because I thought it was actually being a detriment to my channel. But realistically, it wasn't. It was just pretty neutral. It's not growing anything. It's really not losing much. There's a little trickle of lost subscribers, but it's just not the end of the world. And I think the extra revenue and the extra like just exposure as well is worth it.
Well, unfortunately, what I think we saw with RuneFest is that YouTube has a farther outreach than Twitch does, with the upset of Brett Dog for best new streamer. And no offense to, I believe his name was Frey or Frayed, that one best new streamer. Yeah, Frey. I had no idea who he was, but that's because I'm not a YouTube live person. Personally, I remember when YouTube introduced live streams, I was like, no one's ever gonna get famous off this or get a following off this, because I always thought that the market wasn't there for like a YouTube point of view. I always felt that Twitch had the stranglehold on it, and then Rumble came out, and then what was it, Mixer, and now Kick, which is trying to be competitive, but I don't think they're doing a very good job at all right now in terms of being competitive, like an actual viable competitive partner for Twitch. I think the next best option for competition is YouTube. And that's in terms of both creating content, creating videos, and streaming on it. Because it's just, it's so funny how people want to stream and they start with nothing on Twitch. And this is no offense to anybody who is a new streamer or has been streaming a long time. But if you're not doing anything on the side, you are destined to fail. And I'm not saying that you will fail. I'm just saying is you're very, very likely not to really go anywhere with it. And if that's what you want to do, you don't want to make extra content on the side, that's fine. But in the environment that we're in today, you have to utilize all the available resources to you. And it's so funny that YouTube is that still to this day, the powerhouse of it all. YouTube is still the big dog in terms of like having an active fan base that ride or dies for you, that is loyal, and they will always be there for you in terms of like whether it's watching a video, checking out whatever you're doing, hitting up a live stream, or voting for you for winning the Golden Gnome. And even in terms of like Seth, of him doing Top Tuesday, Seth's streaming career wouldn't be anywhere near what it is if he hadn't started his YouTube channel. I firmly believe that. He probably would have had slow, continuous growth, but the reason he's at the level he is now is because of creating YouTube content and trying to cultivate a fan base off of Twitch.
Yep.
And it's so funny because did you see the video of like the announcement of Frey winning the Golden Gnome?
No.
It's so funny because T Papa, Prison Joe, Hamzy, and Annie are in the front rows because everyone thought Brett Dog was going to win. I voted for him. I was really hoping he would have won. And when they announced Frey, it felt like an SNL skit because they panned the camera directly at like Prison Joe, T Papa, Hamzy, and they're just jaw agape, being like, huh?
Oh, no.
What? Yeah, the look of confusion and shock on their face as soon as they announced this guy winning the Golden Gnome was so funny.
Frey, I got to give credit where it's due. Frey is, I mean, to be fair, I don't think I've actually seen a live stream of his, but I had him on the cast like a year and a half ago or so. He's great. He really is great. And he's got an amazing series going on, and he really puts in the time and effort. So I'm not surprised that, and again, he has a huge YouTube following, like he just does. And so the people watching his live stream on YouTube, which again, if you're stuck on Twitch, you're not going to recognize that, but yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I think Twitch has gotten so complacent as being like the number one competitor that they're allowing people who regularly use Twitch to find other avenues of live streaming content. I mean, the ad situation on Twitch is just deplorable, especially when there's so many different competitors that offer no ads during live streams. TikTok, YouTube, Kick, it really it just makes me wonder, like, because YouTube's been around for so long, so it makes sense. But there's been so many changes within YouTube of like, and even now it's changing again. Like, I feel like we're going back to like old school long format is like dominating in the algorithm again. Versus like the shorts were for like the longest time, or the quick paced 10-minute videos, 15-minute videos. I feel like long form content is being pushed now. And I really wish I could just see the back end of all these websites and really see how much pull you get from having it in terms of like percentage base, right? So say like you have 20,000 Twitch subscribers and 5,000 YouTube subscribers. Out of that percentage, I would imagine that the YouTube percentage is going to be higher in terms of like loyal fan base. And I just wonder why that is. It has to be the consumer, right? It has to be the market that the viewer or the consumer is based in.
Yeah, I think YouTube just holds people's attention so much more. I mean, YouTube is just so big, so much bigger than Twitch.
It doesn't feel like it though.
It's out of control big. Like Twitch is a fucking pebble compared to how large YouTube really is.
I know.
And YouTube, again, it's just like it has everything. It has everything, and it's been the dominant force for, almost 20 years now. And it's just like, okay, you just can't outclass us. And they have it really well done where, I mean, their algorithm is so good to keep you locked in on YouTube. I mean, I'm on YouTube so often.
Oh yeah. It's my main my main place of content. It's where I go and I find new content that, going back to my old point, that I didn't know that I wanted.
And one of the coolest parts about YouTube is like 2023 is when my cast exploded, and that was all luck. I mean, it was just YouTube chucking so many of my episodes into the algorithm. I mean, it felt like seriously half of my episodes were just getting, I mean, I'm talking about episodes 2 years prior that had been published. We're now getting, I mean, the Mod Sween episode, a year and a half after it was published, all of a sudden just this hike. I mean, you see the chart and it just shoots up, and it now has like 240,000 views. And I think it only had like 15K at the start, which was already a huge number at the time. Like 15,000 views was insane. And then to shoot up to 240,000, and then a plethora of other episodes hit over 100,000 and a lot over 50,000. And that was just purely YouTube just pushing my episodes. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, this is so cool. This something like this could never happen on Twitch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's all luck, and that obviously died down. And kind of unfortunate, but the thing I can do though is just keep publishing stuff, because one of the things I kind of was a bit disappointed in was just like, oh man, like if only this huge avalanche of exposure and the algorithm hitting my channel so hard right now was after I had already had 200 plus episodes in the catalog, rather than just 100 or so.
Yeah.
So, but it was still amazing to see, and I honestly hold on to hope that at some point the algorithm just hits again and everybody's starting to get recommended Sae Bae cast. But again, it's just kind of like luck.
Yeah. And where else is the Sae Bae cast posted? Is it just YouTube, or is it Spotify, Apple Podcasting? Is it everywhere that podcasts are available? Or
Yep. Spotify, Apple, any of those. Not every platform, but most of them.
How are your numbers on Spotify? How have they been lately?
So that's been really cool. So I do it through Acast, which has actually had a lot of problems recently. I'm getting customer support because they were actually the exclusive partner with Patreon to get podcasts up there. You could either do it through Patreon, which is a lot more simple, or you could connect with Acast. But Acast now has had some issues, and I'm trying to work with them, and I upgraded my membership over on Acast, help that, and it hasn't. So there's been a few issues, but ultimately Acast has been a real nice platform to do, and it's been completely free for me to use until just up until now. And they have this baked in ads. So Acast has their own ads marketplace. So as soon as you hit about 10,000 downloads a month on average, which I usually on a good month, like right now, my last 28 days shows like, I think I have like 28,000 listens. That's only because I just was uploading so consistently these past couple months. And I get a lot of like backlogged downloads as well. And this is not just Spotify, this is everything, but Spotify definitely dominates. I think Spotify takes like 90% of everything. And what's so cool is once you hit that certain threshold, they can start baking in ads. And so I have an ad at the beginning, an ad baked in the middle, and an ad at the end. And, you know, it's actually like a pretty decent chunk of revenue if you can be consistent with your uploading. And they're taking 50%. So
really?
Yeah, they take 50% of the ad. They're doing everything. You don't have to touch anything. You just literally enable it and just put the ads where you want. But it's great because I can't be complaining about it. I don't have to do anything. It's just there. And then they also have a sponsorship market as well, where you can post your profile and potentially get sponsorships. And so you say like the sponsorships you would be interested in. And that's something that I think it takes a little bit more. I think you really should be pushing for about 30,000 to 50,000 downloads a month for sponsorships to really start getting interested. But as soon as you hit that threshold, I mean, podcasting is a game changer, like financially. Like as soon as you can lock in a good sponsorship, they pay really well, because ads on YouTube, for example, like if I have a cast that gets, let's just say, average view time of 40 minutes, which is a pretty good average for a Sae Bae cast. I'd say, you know, if you look at some of my episodes, I mean, I think some of my best episodes, the average watch time is like an hour and a half, which is just unbelievable. It's like so crazy for the average to be that.
Yeah.
But most of the time it's in between 20 minutes and an hour. And generally I'm generating about $11, per 1,000 views. And basically, over on Acast, if you can lock in a sponsorship, I mean, they're paying more like $25 to $50 1,000 downloads. So it depends on the sponsorship. It depends on the show. It also depends, they'll kind of test run things. So if you're actually a good host and you're going to be the one voicing the sponsorship and people are genuinely like, you're a trusted voice and you're getting a lot of clicks, I mean, it'll just shoot up from there. They'll see the analytics and you could even get higher sponsorships. But that's something I haven't had ever. I've never had a sponsorship on the cast. I've had a few on Twitch, but it's just a different thing. But that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to some growth to potentially get to that point. And in the meantime, I'm trying to grow my Patreon. I'm trying to grow my YouTube membership, because ultimately YouTube revenue, ad revenue, is just not enough to support month by month. And so like, if I want to keep the show like rolling and feel good about it, like feel this like desire to keep publishing, I want to, grow some like basic monthly support. So I feel like, okay, this is a worthwhile thing. And on top of that, now I'm actually getting real support from my actual fans, and it helps motivate me to like just keep the ball rolling. And so that's what I've been kind of pushing this year, especially a lot harder this year, getting that. And now I've started doing exclusive episodes as well, which is something I was not doing at all. The first one was that Based Orlando cast. That was an exclusive.
I want to ask, how is the YouTube membership going? Have you seen people subscribing to it? Are they picking that over the Patreon?
Yeah, actually they are.
Interesting.
So my Patreon, like right now, has about 60 to 70 ish paid patrons. And there's a $2 and $5 and $10 tier. I decided against, at one point it was like 5, 10 and 25. And I just recognized like, hey, this is just not worth it for my audience, because when I first made it, there was no exclusive content. It was just like, here, help support me. So the $2 route felt a lot more reasonable, because what I tried to do was like see it from a consumer's lens. Like if I were to be an avid listener of the Sae Bae cast, not as the host, like what would I actually find appropriate to just support? And I was like, $2 is honestly not much at all. And it's just a real easy way to support. And on top of that, it's not going to be something where people feel this pressure to unsubscribe at some point. $2 a month, I don't see hardly anybody unsubscribing from. They lock in and it feels like it's for life. It's just like, okay, as long as you're going to keep producing content, I'm going to stay. It's $2 a month. It's not a big deal. And then the 5 and the 10, and I didn't really want to go beyond that. I've definitely seen some Patreons like like settled is crazy. I mean, I think his is the one that's the most shocking. I mean, he's got like a $250 tier and like a $150 tier and a $100, just like these outrageous tiers. And you look at his Patreon post and there's like hardly anything posted. It's just like, well, it just seems a bit much. Like, really, you're really gonna like, I understand you could potentially get some oil or just, you know, paying your rent for you. But like, I decided to just take it a more just less
realistic,
aggressive route. Yeah, just realistic and just not like, and just valuing my audience. Like, just, okay, I don't want to look like I'm just, come on, pay me. So that's been a really good thing for me. And then the YouTube membership, bringing that along has been very helpful, because a lot of people don't want to, you know, migrate over to Patreon. Some people have just never been on the site. It's unfamiliar to them. And the fact that they can get everything just on YouTube has been great. And so, you know, Patreon has grown very slowly. It's up to about 60 or 70. YouTube membership right now is about 120 to 130 now members. And that's just been phenomenal.
That makes me really, really want, because I can only be nothing but grateful for the Based After Dark Patreon. It that has single-handedly allowed me to pursue this full time, and right now we're still sitting above 220 paid Patreon members, and the fact that it's been like that for over 6 months now is just so unreal to me, and it's made me reluctant to switch, to turn on YouTube membership, to turn on Spotify membership, mainly because they take cuts from it, and Patreon, you just get more of a percentage, and I can take it out anytime. It goes directly to my PayPal, so I've been very reluctant to do the YouTube membership, but hearing you talk about it makes me think, have I been wrong? Should I start uploading the Patreon cast to a YouTube membership exclusive, you think? Do you think, I'll ask the question right now. Hey, anyone listening to this, if the base team started a YouTube membership channel, is that something that would be interested in? Because if it is, I mean, we could do it. And that's just one more upload for me on my end. That's no problem.
The best part about it is, and I would recommend, this is based on my own experience with it, make it so YouTube membership and Patreon offer the exact same thing.
Interesting.
So there is no difference. Ultimately, you could just choose which platform is better suited for you, keep the prices the same. And obviously YouTube, you're not going to get as large of a cut. It's only 70%, but at least to the consumer, like your audience is going to just pay the same amount and they're going to get the same thing. So that's how I've seen it. It works really nicely. And when I have like my, supporter screen up on every cast, I look at both sites. I'm like, okay, Patreon and YouTube, I add up all the names. I need to find a way to do that like more streamlined. I manually type them. So I actually have basically memorized a lot of my supporters, basically like every single one. Like I'm just like typing in their names, not every week, but if they're on there, I'm like backspacing names that have canceled or whatnot, and just.
That was a big problem when we started the Patreon. Is that's how I have to do it.
Yeah. No, it's kind of a mess doing it, but it gets to a point where, especially if it's growing, it's exciting because you're actually typing in new names. Like, oh, this is cool. But it can be kind of just like a nuisance week after week. And for me, it was like every other day, just like, okay, let's check the thing. Is anybody canceled? But no, it's cool. And honestly, like when you look back at old casts, I think I had 10 to 20 supporters for a couple years, maybe up to 30. And now knowing it's nearing like 200, it's kind of been at like that teetering 200. It's just been awesome. And I know uploading exclusives has been the reason for it. You got to offer something else on there. People aren't generally willing to just support just for the support's sake. No, absolutely. They want extra content.
And that's what has made the Based After Dark Patreon so successful, is that consistently we are uploading a weekly Patreon cast along with the main cast. And we do try to bait it. We do try to keep things. And it's also nice too. It's nice to have a main podcast that you keep quote unquote professional. And then you have another place where it's laid back because you know that everyone that's going to listen to this podcast is paying for it. So they're really a fan of it. And there's something comforting in that, especially after like it clicks and you get enough going and people are commenting and loving it and staying subscribed, and you know you see that number go up and you're like, all right, this is awesome, it's working. So wow, I think I'm gonna have to do that in the coming week, is get the membership set up. Do you think I need to transfer all the Patreon cast over, because that's 80 something podcasts, or do you think I should just start uploading from like where we are at?
I would say if you have the time, just send them all. You don't need to do it immediately, but like, it's just one of those things where, I don't know, just backlogging them. And they're all members things, so you don't even have to do it all at once. It's just kind of like, let me throw some up there and, you know, just you don't have to do the bare minimum, but you don't have to go as extreme with everything. I mean, just literally like, okay, here's episode 1, here's episode 2, here's episode, just like kind of upload them in order. And
that gives me an idea, because one of the ideas I've been floating around to the guys is being like, hey, we have a lot of Patreon casts that are backlogged now, and these are some of our best podcasts, by far, hands down. There are some sequels and trilogy podcasts within our Patreon cast. And I've floated the idea around like, well, let's upload one to YouTube. Let's give a free Patreon cast, you know, like as like a form of like an advertisement, right? But what I think I should probably just do is just go through all the Patreon cast and get the best one, start a membership, and just start with those. I think that's the best course of action.
Yeah. I don't think there's necessarily a bad way to do it. Just whatever works, whatever seems best for you.
No, yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking out loud. You know, I'm just just talking to the void. Hey, void, how we doing? You guys enjoying the podcast? I'm enjoying it. I love this. I could yap for hours, man.
Dude, our cast was amazing when you came on the Sae Bae cast. I mean, I literally was laughing my ass off.
Dude, that's what I like to do. I like to entertain. I was talking to my mom about this the other day, because God bless my mother. You know, she's not very technological savvy, and she doesn't really understand the internet, and she's been very supportive of what I do. And we were talking last night, and she's like, I just don't understand how you make money on the internet, but she's like, but you do, you pay your rent, you have your car, nothing's getting repossessed. And she's like, I think that's wonderful. And I'm like, Mom, like, even if I wasn't getting paid to do it, I probably would still be doing it. I'd probably just work like a side job and live minimally. If this wasn't making any money, I'd still be doing this, because I want to entertain people. I want to, it was so obvious, man. I just remember watching YouTube and Newgrounds growing up as a kid and being like, God, I want to do this. I want to make people laugh. I want people to look at me. And you know, that I did musical theater for 5 years, and you know, that definitely spawned from that as well. I loved acting. I loved being seen. I didn't even want a main role. I just wanted to be that one scene that everyone laughs at. That's what I wanted the most whenever I did theater. I wanted to be the scene that when people leave that shitty high school musical theater play, that they remember my scene at least, because I was funny, or I was shocking, or I was entertaining. And that's what's really like driven me to like keep doing this.
And honestly, like, I'm proud of you for starting this. I mean, I have had in my head an idea for starting a new, fresh podcast where it's just me, like a kind of like a monologue podcast, just talking about whatever. And for some reason, I just can't get myself to do it. I have so much built up like anxiety from it. Like, this isn't going to be like what people want to listen to. I kind of Got to keep getting that narrow focus on RuneScape because that's what people are really here for. And when you just jump in and start doing stuff, like that's when you start seeing, actual growth or, actual, I don't know, just doing stuff, like producing stuff, just throwing it out there, seeing what sticks. I'm always impressed by people like jumping out in the deep end and just trying something new. So I think this is great what you're doing.
Well, ultimately I have to thank Nine Rain for this. This spawned. Were you on that podcast? I don't think you were. I want to say you were there, but I don't think you were there. I think my brain wants to think you were there. It'd be interesting if you were. But we basically had a main cast, and we got to the Patreon cast, and I had brought something up, and Nine Rain had said something to the effect of like, I want to say a few things right now, but before I say it, I want to make sure that like everyone here knows that it's coming from a good place, and this is just what I would do if I was running the podcast. And we all started talking about it, and like within like 5 to 10 minutes of like us having this conversation about like what Based After Dark is, what is Base Team, what is our true objective, what should our true objective be, I was like, you know what? Everyone hit record. This is going to be the Patreon cast. And this project has spawned from that Patreon cast of Nine Rain, of pushing the idea of having these one-on-one podcasts of it could still be Based After Dark, but it could be me and Tasty or me and T Papa. And I thought about it, and someone had said base tapes, and I was like, that's really good. We should do this. And I also want to give my respect and homage to you because I've listened a lot to you, and I've been the producer, I've been the Jamie, I've been the sound guy, the editor for a while now. And you've really inspired me to do this, to do the one-on-ones, do the trio cast. And I just want to thank you for giving me like the foundation. I can't remember who quoted this, but I can only see because I stand on the shoulders of giants. And I think that is so true right now. There's no way I could be here talking to you, Sae Bae, and be comfortable with it and be motivated and confident enough to do it if you yourself didn't start the Sae Bae cast. And
I appreciate that.
No, it's just how the world works. We all influence each other, and the actions of one inspire the actions of many. I think.
Yeah. No, I did not start the Sae Bae cast organically. I mean, that was just I had listened to other people talking about RuneScape, and I was fascinated by like that concept. I was like, that just sounds cool to talk with people about RuneScape because it's so simple, and it feels like that would be like the dumbest thing ever. And who would listen to that? But I listened to it. Like, I love it, and I wanted more of it. So me like jumping in and then recognizing as well, like Sae Bae cast didn't start off that big. I mean, it's still growing, but it's when I hear from people jumping into my stream or DMing me saying like, hey, your casts have gotten me through some hard times, or your casts, like keep me sane at work, or like I'm a truck driver, I'm driving all across the country all the time, and like being able to pop on a 3 to 4 hour RuneScape episode is just phenomenal. Like, thank you for all you do. It's just like, oh shit, like I'm not alone in this. There's actually a lot of people that have also wanted this that probably didn't even know they wanted it either.
And well, I mean, shout out to the RuneScape community of having long form content on while they do grinds.
Yep.
That it's just funny how it pairs together, And back when I was playing RuneScape pretty seriously, I mean, God, that's all I ever listened to were podcasts. Because like you can have a show on, or an anime on, or a movie on while you play RuneScape, but unless you're doing something that's pretty damn AFK, it's hard to keep up with it. But a podcast, you don't have to look at the podcast, you just have to listen. I don't know if it's because I've been listening to podcasts for a long time. I remember when Joe Rogan was like doing these live, and a lot that's another lost aspect of podcasting that I kind of want to bring back, is bringing back the live podcast, which at the end of the day is just a radio show. It's just Howard Stern. But I mean, that's how podcasting was for a while was a lot of it was done live. I mean, God, the Joe Rogan podcast, they did it live for almost 5 years exclusively. And that's insane that that the meta's changed now. And that's something I'd like to bring back because that's always seemed fun to me.
Now, would you do it in the way where you're interacting with the live chat, or it's just they get to interact with each other and you're focused on the podcast?
The way that we've done it I think we've done 3 now. We've either done 3 or 4 like live specials. And for like the first hour to an hour and a half, however long we go, you don't interact with the chat. But I think it would be fun, at the end to interact with the chat. Like have an hour and a half, like a normal podcast. And then like when you feel like everything's been said that wants to be said, you've gone through all the topics that you had, or everyone's fucked up now, how are you like planned out the event at the end of it to interact with the chat? I feel like that's always nice to do because you're right there. See, why not?
Early days of the Sae Bae cast, I don't know if you ever were in there, but I used to actually do it, like record it offline and immediately premiere it on Twitch and YouTube. So it would be a full premiere. People would be in my Twitch stream. People would be in the YouTube live stream. And I would just premiere the video. And so there'd be a live chat where people are interacting to what we said. But it's already done. It's already completed. Like we already know that the podcast went well. And now we're just listening to the live feedback. And I used to do that for basically every episode until it got to the point where I was just so exhausted from, talking with somebody for 4 hours and then immediately playing it live, a couple hours later and having to be there for another 4 hours, re-listening to my entire conversation the same day, oftentimes.
That's rough.
And I was like, it was cool in a way because, you're live. So you're getting a little bit of supporters coming in, new viewers, everything like that. But one of the concerns, this would happen every episode where somebody would come in and is like, oh, is this live? Is this live? Yeah. Just always like, no. And they're all my chat was like, no, it's not. But a lot of people enjoyed it. Like I had some episodes, I got a JMod on, I think like Mod Husky one. I mean, I had like 170 viewers like in the live stream with a pre-recorded cast that's premiering. And it was awesome because people are now interacting with each other, listening to it. And that's an element of, entertainment by itself. But again, it just comes back to the thing. Like I would love to do it, but I'd love to also step away from my computer as well and not have to like be there. Yeah.
Well, that's just the beauty of recording something versus like having like a live planned event, And I want to try to do more of those, but it's so hard to, everyone's working on their own thing, real life. It's hard to have all the stars align and have a set time and date to do it. It's hard to do. So that it only happens maybe once or twice a year. But man, my ideal goal, if I had $1 million, right? And I had Hamzy, Prison Joe, T Papa, and Tasty in a stream house, and like me there as well, obviously. And like I had like all the money for the podcast studio that I wanted. I didn't have to worry about conflicting schedules because everyone's here. Everything can be done in-house live. I would be doing a live podcast once a month is what I would set out to do. That would be like my perfect ideal world. Is to be doing weekly podcast, having the bi-weekly base tapes, and then doing a monthly live podcast. But with base tapes now, and the fact that like I can just like set it up with somebody and just do it solo, I think we have an opportunity to do that in the future, to see that. So be on the lookout for that.
That really is the dream, though, having a live podcast. That Orlando cast was great. It was, mine was just audio only. Obviously, the Based After Dark was video, but that was cool. That was something special, being all there at once.
Every time we've done it, and it started in Vegas, I remember getting everything set up, and like, I'm the type of person that like when I set something up and like it's ready to go, like did you ever like go shopping with your mom and then like you get a toy or you get a game and you're like, all right, let's go home now. And your mom's like, no, we can't. We still have to grocery shop or we still have to run errands.
Yep.
That's me whenever I set up anything live. Ready. I want to go right now. I want to press the goddamn button. I want to see the people coming in, so it's just in Vegas, I had it set up and, everyone was out, but there were still just some random people around. And I was like, fuck it, let's hit live and let's go.
Yep.
And
that was awesome.
Yeah. And it was so much fun. And then like people coming in and coming on the podcast and it's live and now people are partying. There's a party going on in the background and we're live. It's so much fun to do. And I really feel like people enjoy that type of thing, especially when it's at events like TwitchCon or RuneFest or a convention or whatever, or a base team meetup, and people know about it, right? It adds to the level of content.
Yeah. One of the things, like, I got to give Base, I always give Base credit for this, but like just the organization of things that would never have happened had it not been for the Base stream team. I mean, that TwitchCon in Vegas was something else. It was so cool.
Yeah.
That you guys somehow organized literally 100 people to show up at this Airbnb, all RuneScape creators, all, people RuneScape adjacent, and we all got to meet each other and just party and have a great time. That was something that would not have happened. Nobody else would have set that up. And I'm not going to lie, there's something really special about that. And I don't think that's, and it's not directed to you. It's mainly directed just to the base team and as a whole, which I'm also a part of. But like getting those organized is genuinely one of like the most most community driven. Like it's one of the most powerful things that Based can actually do is organize events like that at these community events. And I think it would be a shame to lose that in a way. Like I'm not the one organizing it. So obviously this is like a lot of effort on a lot of people's parts, but getting those things set up is such a big thing that, again, like I said, it would be a shame to lose. And I think that's something important to keep around, because I think it's so easy to get complacent with those kinds of things.
Well, someone needs to step up, because I don't know if Based will be returning to 2025 TwitchCon.
Is that so?
It's not looking good. It's not looking good right now. I'm not sure how many people are going, but we
where is it anyway?
It's in San Diego again.
Okay. And that's in like October or September?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
So, if I can make it out there, perfect. But I will say right now, Based currently, we are not planning on getting an Airbnb and having like a big streamer house for this event. At this time, we're not planning on doing that.
Yeah.
I think Prison Joe.
And if it's not already scheduled, it's probably not looking too likely.
No, yeah,
since
exactly.
We're getting closer and closer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think Prison Joe is going to be going, just because he just likes to go solo, anyways, and film and get down and get banned. He likes to go to TwitchCon to get banned. Oh man, it's something crazy. But one last question for you here, Sae Bae. What is your ideal future in terms of content coming from Sae Bae? What are your main goals for the future?
Ideally, and again, so much of content creation is like dependent on other people wanting to watch, So ideally, I would love to continue the Sae Bae cast, have it be, a weekly thing. I definitely was pushing out episodes pretty regularly. In fact, like once every other day for a couple months. But I want to get back on a more like sane schedule with that. The once a week felt really good, and the episodes felt a little bit more impactful as well, I noticed. And then on top of that, I just want to enjoy streaming on Twitch and on YouTube. And that's something I'm actually starting to get back into the swing of things. Maybe it's the weather that's helping. There's definitely some other aspects, the things in my life that I've been like just getting resolved. And so streaming and having fun is something I just miss. And I didn't have it for a while, where I was just stressing out about going live, and there's so much anxiety behind it all. But getting into a flow of things and just enjoying myself and not taking things as seriously, it feels really good. And that's a really fun way to like support myself. And then on top of that, just, continuing the rambles as well, just uploading things, not feeling so much anxiety toward uploading something that I don't think will be a total banger, but just throwing it up there because why not? People enjoy that. One of the coolest parts about my YouTube channel, for me specifically, is that people actually just enjoy me shit talking and just posting whatever. That is not the case with every other, every creator. And so I'm in a nice comfy position with that, where I really can just upload things and people enjoy it. And then the last thing is, work toward a more like sustainable income. Like that would be the dream. Like right now, finances are like pretty stressful in my life. Like even thinking about finances like stresses me out at this point. Just because I just have so many more bills to pay now with medication and all these other things. And now I have a car and everything else, and rent just, keeps going up. So I'm stressing out about all that, but I'm trying to like remain level-headed. And I would love to get to the point where I have enough like audience support, fan-based funding, and then potentially down the line, a couple of years from now, have a legitimate sponsorship where I can rest easy, just knowing, okay, like we're good. Like I can do my thing, enjoy myself, not be stressing month to month.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
And if anyone deserves it, it is ultimately you, Saeder. I think a sponsor would be crazy. Just off your YouTube numbers alone would be crazy to be like, no, we don't want to sponsor you. But I also understand it's on that like per download, that monthly download basis is what they base it off of.
Yeah. It would be easier definitely to get a sponsorship with somebody that's truly going out and seeing like, okay, Sae Bae Cast looks like it has a really tight knit like cult following. Because there's something very valuable about that. You don't need to be you don't need to have the biggest podcast. But I mean, look at Based After Dark. Your guys' Patreon support compared to the amount of views is a very healthy ratio. Like that's amazing to have. Yes. And that's because you have a cult following. Like people love Based After Dark.
No, yeah, and I'm very thankful for those people that love Based After Dark. Yeah. Also, the Patreon, again, if you're listening to this way earlier than you will be if you're listening on YouTube and Spotify. So if you want to subscribe, free week trial to the Based After Dark Patreon, you get all of our Patreon exclusive only cast, and you get all of the base tapes early before anyone else. And Mr. Saeder, I just want to say I thank you so much for coming on, and this has been so much fun.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on, SaintTits. I love you, man. This is great. Keep at it as well.
Oh, I love you too, buddy, and we definitely will. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and we will see you next time.
Peace.